In the last section, we created a new component called fib, and we added a couple of methods to it to fetch some data from our backend API. We're now going to add on the ability for this thing to be rendered onto the screen of our browser and show some information to our user. So to get started, I'm going to go to the bottom of the fib class and define a render method. Inside of here, I'm going to return a little bit of JSX. So I'll return a div. We know that we want to show a form to the user, like this form right here. So I'm going to make a form tag that has a label, a text input, and a button assigned to it. So I'll put in a form. I'll put in a label with some text like enter your index. I'll put in an input, and then finally a button. And for the button, I'll give it some text like submit, like so. Now we do have to add in some event handlers to the form tag and the input tag, but we'll get back to that in just a moment. First, let's take care of the other two rendering pieces we need. So we need to make sure that we print out all the different indices that we've ever seen, and we also have to print out all the different values that have been calculated as well. So for each of those two little tables right there, I'm going to place an H3 underneath the form tag. The first one will have a title of something like indexes I have seen. And then the second one, I'll give some text of something like, I don't know, about calculated values. Then underneath each of these, we're going to call a helper method that is going to render the table of all the indices that have been seen and all the different calculated values that have been calculated by the Redis worker. So for the first one, I'm going to make a helper method, and I will place it inside of here with a set of curly braces like so. And I'll say this dot render scene indexes. So we need to define a helper method that will essentially just print out the list of all the indexes that our backend has ever seen. So I'll go and define that helper method called render scene indexes right now. Right above the render method, I'll add in render scene indexes. And then inside of here, we're going to look at the value of scene indexes that we fetched when we called fetch indexes right here. So I will return this .state.scene indexes. Now, scene indexes, just so you know, we haven't really looked at these data types that are floating around, but essentially this is an array as a variety of different objects in it, and each object has